It's the 4th of July! You know what that means?
Explosions!
I mean, yeah, basically. Unless you're very patriotic and think about patriotic things. Like the 13 English colonies who left the British Empire to form their very own nation. But nah. Let's be real Americans and talk about explosions and stuff. America! It's really hot in my room and I'm gonna wear sleeveless t-shirts.
Broforce is a 2D action platformer, in the truest sense of the word action. Oftentimes, there's so much chaos going on in the game, I have no idea what's going on or where my character is. What's going on? I'm so confused. Who's shooting? Where am I? What? Throw in 3 friends for local or online multiplayer and you have a winner. Broforce is developed by Free Lives and was released October 15th, 2015. There's not much to say story-wise. As you might expect, retro action arcadey styled games really didn't have much deep storytelling narratives going on, and neither does this one. That being said, I have casually noticed the different names of the levels in the campaign mode, most of which are cute alternative names for countries the United States has traditionally been at war with at one time or another. I was most amused, and my personal favorite was when the developers added Erstotska as one of the countries to be liberated. That was a nice Papers, Please reference on their part. Glory to Erstotska! Glory, greatest country!
I am a strict man of Erstotska! Glory, greatest country! Get out!
Except not so great. I hope Jack didn't get caught up in the fighting when the bros rolled in. Oh, and while on the topic of YouTubers, there aren't any PewDiePie references in the game. So yeah, no opinion on that one way or another, just kinda funny that Broforce has nothing to do with how's it going, bros? How's it going, bros? Moving on to gameplay. Once again, when it comes to the controls for Broforce, there's not much to say here which you can't already see for yourself. You control your character in 2D space, double tap in a direction to sprint, and fire your gun. There is an alternative fire for each character, which does something special for each character, but the special fire requires ammo to use. You can pick up ammo for these special weapon uses if you see an ammo crate. By the way, if you get poked by anything, you die immediately. So as you might expect, there are certain points in the game that it just turns into a death machine and you die and die and die. For example, never stand near these NPC spawners. Shoot them out from far away and stay away and watch the fireworks. Oh, and watch out for falling bricks, for mines, for stray bullets, and most importantly, your friends. Because they'll kill you more than anything else normally. I'd better get this before Ben dies and takes it again. No!
Like,
Friends, you'll be killed again! You made it rain, Jeff! Because I know it's you, because you were the one that was over there shooting the ceiling. And not from friendly fire or something like that. No, they'll shoot an explosive barrel that you're standing on, or somehow trigger a rock to fall on top of you. Just so people don't think that I'm being too accusative, I have killed my friends many times as well. But I've been killed by my friends more times than I've killed them. Does it sound like I'm defending myself here? Kinda. Moving on. One of my favorite features of the game is that pretty much everything is destructible, except for a few select metal blocks under flag stands to preserve checkpoints. Some levels you need to be more careful about this though, because if you destroy too much of the landscape, you can potentially kneecap your progress and need to restart the level because you can't leap far enough to clear the gap. The good news is this isn't your classic Mario jumping styled platformer. If you hold right or left and you're against a right or left wall, your character will stick a knife into the wall and perform some type of wall climbing technique when you press up. let's talk about the various characters in the game, Or if you prefer, the bros. You might notice I've avoided using that terminology. The reason is I can't take myself seriously when I say bro unironically. It has nothing to do with PewDiePie either. Shh. It's just not in my syntax. Started out as plain Rambro, a spoof on the name Rambo. But did you really need me to explain that? This character is as cut and dry as you can be. Just straight up basic shooter. Whiff grenades. The way you get extra lives in the game is by rescuing bound prisoners, like this guy. When you rescue a prisoner, a couple interesting things happen. You get a few invincibility frames. This is because you don't want to get screwed up by yonder stray bullet just when you got an extra life. Then again, in hard mode, maybe you lose those extra frames. I haven't really experimented with the hard mode difficulty that much. Anyway, once you rescue a character, your character changes to another bro. And as you rescue more characters, you unlock more characters. I'm not going to give you the list of bros. You can look that up for yourself if you think it's important. The other reason I'm not doing that is because I think it takes away some of the surprise of the amusing bro-related puns. However, I do feel I should warn you that I have unlocked all of the characters in the game at this time, and it appears that the last time characters were added to Broforce was the 7th of July 2016, so they may add more further on down the line. But I think they have their bases covered. Basically, they chose anyone who pops into mind if you think of the word masculine. Once you unlock a fair amount of characters, you'll quickly discover that you prefer some characters more than others. To that I say, tough luck, buddy. My favorite characters are the Boondock Bros, Braid, Indiana Brones, and Brochette. Just to give you a bit of a sample. And sorry about the minor spoilers, but you really ought to play them. You'll forgive me for spoiling 4 out of 35 plus characters, right? Right? So this might come as a bit of a surprise, but there's a fair bit of choice when it comes to completing Broforce levels.
But Atratzu is a 2D shoot-'em-up platformer. How complex could it be?
I hear you asking. In my eyes, there are 3 ways to get through a level. 1. Run and gun. 2. Run and dodge. And 3. Dig. Running and gunning is probably what you would first do when you'd boot up the game. It's as natural as mosquitoes and wasps ruining your picnic while you're trying to relax on the 4th while the fireworks are going off.
What? You didn't think I'd remind you that this is going up in July? This is true to the area I live in.
Running and dodging might seem like an odd choice in a game like this, but there have been many times that I've concluded, nope, it's more safe if I just avoid standing under that potential falling block. And you know what? I've died a total of 0 times to falling blocks when I've made that choice. Of course, the stray bullet might still get me, but shh. The way I think of it is, you need to spend time aiming and watching for potential threats through the chaos of fire. Whereas if you're just running for dear life, you don't need to worry about where you're shooting and if you'll accidentally destroy the ground or the wall to cling onto. It's also easier to see with less particle effects on the screen. But that leads me into the 3rd and final choice, digging. Some characters are better at this than others, but generally speaking, you can always try to chip your way through walls and obstacles to get to the end goal. Sometimes this can backfire on you. But if you're stuck on a particularly tough level, you might be just rewarded with an easy goal. Of course, there might be additional methods you can use to traverse the landscape. One of my personal favorites is Snake Broskin, who can open up a glider and gently float across the levels. Of course, this doesn't always mean they're going to get to the goal, but sometimes you can get lucky. And I'm not going to lie, that one ability has gotten me out of some, or rather over some rather sticky situations. And with any game, I tend to find ways to break that game. Specifically when I ended up inside of one of the bosses, Easiest boss ever. Or landed on top of a helicopter with my mech. Or broke my save game I had been originally working on. That one's a little bit harder to explain. I checked the Steam forums and some other people had run into that problem, but I think the save file might have been the old one that I was continuing. And by old save file, I mean back when the game was still in early release. So, yeah. Basically, I go into this level, and the screen goes black. I'm blind! But never fear, Atratzu is here! Sorry, that rhyme was too good to pass up. I simply just created a new save slot and was able to just start a game up and get past that point. No harm done. I should point out there are two types of levels in Broforce: single player and campaign. Or campaign or arcade levels. They're the same thing for the most part. The levels marked with a C are meant to be played by one player, and they're more like creative puzzle maps meant to teach players new tricks with different characters or new tactics and stuff like that. There is another reason to play solo missions, though. You get special items that you can find and pick up in the regular missions. It's nothing really game-changing, but this game definitely gets your Pavlov going for unlockables, and I'm just a drooling doggo. Oh, side note about the game regarding style. You can run through seagulls with your helicopter and watch them explode. Ooh, so masculine. Ooh.
I'm so sorry, Chica. Don't look at me like that. It was a joke. I'd never do that to birds in real life. I'm just sorry. Don't look at me like that. Hey.
About halfway through the campaign, the game's aesthetics will change and you're no longer fighting militant insurgents. You're fighting aliens. You know, extraterrestrials. What did you think I meant? I wasn't sure if I should dip into this and if it would be spoiler territory, but for goodness sake, it's on the storefront page, so I guess I can't do much of a spoiler than what the front page has already done. Since the game changes halfway through, this just doubles the amount of time that you can enjoy playing the game. I guess you could get 2D platform exhausted out, but let's be frank, solid 2D platformers can go on and on. Throw in extra features like a level editor and community created levels, and I think you'll agree there's plenty to keep people coming back to this game. Not to mention the graphic style will help keep Broforce fresh for many years to come. One final note before wrapping up this review. There is some free DLC called The Expendabros. Just guess that pun. Go on. Yes. The Expendables. You get the Expendables as playable, unlockable characters, and a few bonus levels. The DLC is completely free. You've got nothing to lose by downloading it. To conclude my review for Broforce, I like it. Broforce is so over the top on so many ways. It completely embraces its America style and theme. I'm pretty awful at 2D platformers. I don't know how I've stacked up compared to most people, but retro games kick my butt. Broforce is pretty forgiving and definitely fun to play. Even if you don't play it that much, it works extremely well as a party game or couch co-op, or over the internet with friends. I easily recommend this game to anyone remotely interested in Broforce. My name is Atratzu, and I approve this review.
And the land of the free and the home of the bros.
You can run through seagulls with your helicopter? Helicopter. Helicopter.
Broforce! 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 Broforce!